Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast. We just won an amazing football game, 35-32 over the Denver Broncos. Eric, how are you feeling, man?
My pulse is going to be elevated for a while here. Man, that was a crazy game. It was a little bit too
Woo!
much excitement there at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this game was all over the map, wasn't it? There's nothing there's nothing they left out in this game. Here we were thinking it was going to be like a 19-16, 17-14 type win, and it was just a barn burner, man. It was fun to watch though.
This is a game that we haven't seen in DC. I know it was in Denver, but like from a Washington team in a long time, which is a high scoring, back and forth, come from behind type of game. And we saw a lot from this team in that one game. Yeah, to go down 21-3 in the second quarter, we're down 21-3, and you're thinking, oh, same old team, same old Washington, and all of a sudden they just kept fighting. What were you thinking? 21-3. I mean, honestly, 21-3, second quarter. I mean, everything's gone wrong.
Yeah, it was I was like, this is gonna be a long day. There was always this like little glimmer of hope in the back of my mind of like, yeah, we could, it's not insurmountable. There's been bigger comebacks, but from what we had seen of the offense to that point, and the defense was just getting ravaged those first couple of drives. It was not looking like it was going to be a good day. But yeah, I wasn't 100% out on it, but I was 96% out on that game. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of committed to another loss. I was just like, well, maybe they can make it look respectable, help out, my fantasy team a little bit. And they did well more than that, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, at 20 down 21-3, you're thinking, wow, it's the same old, right? We can't handle success, right? We come off a nice win in week 1, and now we're going to lay an egg. This is the exact opportunity where in years past and teams past we would lay this egg, right? Last year we win and then we get pummeled by Detroit. And this would have been the perfect game for Denver to kind of pummel us, and then we head back home, limp back home. But no, there is something a little bit different about this team. They continued to fight. The offense, however bad it looked in that first quarter, second quarter, ended that half on a run of 11 unanswered points to pull within just 7 points. They were only down 21-14 at halftime, and you saw them starting to catch up. It just seemed like the game was still moving a little bit too fast for the offense. But with each play, each snap, they got a little bit faster. They got a little bit better. And then the second half came, and they just took off, and the entire team did as well too. What stood out to you in that second half? I mean, there was a lot, right? Like offense, defense, everybody came and chipped in. But what stood out to you?
Man, the resiliency. I love the never say die attitude.
Yeah.
That the team had, and just things looked really bad at the beginning, and it kind of looked like maybe offense or defensive coordinators are on to Sam Howell and they know how to take away what he likes, and he was really struggling with the pressure. The offensive line, there was a couple of really bad sacks they gave up early on. Coming off the edge. I mean, the edge pressure was there all day, and it took a while to adjust to it. But just the fact that, they were able to settle down, they were able to adjust to what Denver was trying to do and get it to work. And they kind of, you finally saw that the enemy screen game, take advantage of that pressure that they were getting constant pressure. You finally saw that in some huge screens. I mean, Robinson had a big one. Gibson had a big one in the second half. And the other thing is, again, I didn't like the game plan in the first half. They were way too pass happy, just like they were last week. And again, I assume, I haven't looked at the final stats, but it most likely balanced out, towards the end of the game, because, I mean, you saw just the difference that like a balanced rushing attack gave the team when they weren't just dropping Sam back every play, and there was actually a threat of the run, and play action would actually work. So yeah, great stuff to see from the offense from a resiliency perspective, and just a really good solid job, and also resiliency on defense, because again, they were getting shredded. Jack Del Rio made the right adjustments, and they were able to get home. The secondary cleaned up its play a little bit, in the second half, or quite a bit in the second half. They
Oh
weren't
yeah.
just giving up giant pass play. So all in all, yeah, just resiliency is the thing that keeps coming to mind for me. That was a great win, a great job by the entire team.
Yeah, the resiliency, that's a great point. But let me go back just before half. And I was with you. I was like, man, we're down 21-3. We need some more balance on offense. But to be enemy's credit, Bieniemy has no brakes, right? He has no off button. He was all gas, and he said, "No, we're gonna sling it. We're gonna get these points, and we're gonna try to get some more points before the half." And we've heard how strict and detailed Bieniemy is about the 2-minute drill and about scoring points before the half and how much time they spend on it in practice. And you saw it come to life there, because they didn't go to the run in that first half. They continued to throw it, and Bieniemy kept pressing, and they were able to get the ball down into scoring position. They scored, they got a field goal, and they took that lead, and they narrowed it down to just 7 points right before half. And that was huge, right? You can't go into the second half with such an insurmountable lead or a big lead like that. So while I definitely wanted to see some more balance, just like you did, I got to give Bieniemy credit. He stuck with it, and it paid off. For that point in time. But then in the second half, yeah, we did see a little bit more balance, and all of a sudden the run game worked, the screen game. Everybody go check out Ellie and I did a awesome video on Bieniemy's screen game, and we detailed all of his screens, and we saw them today, and they all worked, and they all worked for big chunk yards to kind of calm down some of that pass rush by Denver. So that was really cool to see. And then Brian Robinson, 4.8 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. This was a game that we wanted to see from Brian Robinson, and you saw him kind of look stronger, look healthier, look more in shape in the second half than maybe some of the defense as he was running around. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, to your point, I think the aggressiveness at the end of the first half contributed to the balance in the second half. Because if you go into the first half down 18 points, if you go into halftime, you're not going to be able to come out and just you're going to have to start chucking it around. So
exactly,
the ability to cut it to 7 points at the end of the first half was huge, and it really allowed them to execute the game plan in the second half. And they did that to perfection. And boy, the way the defense came out in the second half, specifically Deron Payne came out in the first, he just basically took care of the entire Denver offense by himself on the first 3 plays. He literally one player forced a 3 and out. It was unbelievable series. So my big question, of course, with Deron Payne was, now that he's paid, is he going to continue to produce? And man, he's answered that question. I'm sorry I doubted you, Deron, because you're getting it done, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know better than to ask that question about you. The motivation, money was not the motivation for you. You are just, you just want to be the best football player you can be. So I will eat crow on that one. I apologize for questioning anything heart related with Deron Payne, because that guy, he brought it. It was just a really, really, really great job. And of course, Emmanuel Forbes gets his first pick. Love that. And really the play of the game, the play that really turned the game, you got to give props, because we've been tough on this player for a long time. Jamin Davis forcing that fumble.
He had a big time tackle and forced fumble.
Got away with a face mask again, just like in Philly last year, but whatever.
Hey, if they don't call the face mask on Jamin Davis, I'll take it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the great play by him. Wonderful job. And that turned the entire game, because Russell Wilson was not the same after that play.
Yeah.
It kind of speaks to maybe Russell's getting a little fragile upstairs, because, I don't think Russell in years past would have let that affect him the way he did today. But man, he was not the same player after he committed that first turnover for the rest of the game. He was off.
Yeah, it was definitely a game-changing play. And, to go back a little bit, you're right. Deron Payne, awesome. I mean, he shut down that whole series by himself, every play, each snap. So I can't say enough good things about his play today. He was a man possessed, driven today, and flat out awesome. But yeah, Jamin Davis, that was huge, because if you remember that tackle, there was nobody over to that side. Jamin had to run him down across the field and get over there before he got out of bounds, and he was able to do that, cause the fumble. I think Barton recovered it, and we're off to the races now, going the other way with the offense. So yeah, that was a big momentum changer, and it just worked. It was great to see him make that play, use his athleticism, use that speed, and show up on the stat sheet and make a big time play. But the defense overall, 7 sacks today, right? We talked last week, Sam Howell took 6 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the defense got 7 sacks of Russell Wilson. That's just incredible. That's a lot of sacks. And this is something that we've wanted. We got some sacks last week, but what did we hear? Well, the Cardinals are going to be the worst team. A lot of people tried to discredit our win, water it down. That was a tough team. We saw what they did. They took the Giants to the limit. The Giants had to kick a last-second field goal today to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals are actually a good team. I know their 0-2 record may not suggest it, but that's a good team. And we got 7 sacks today. What did you think about 7 sacks for the defense?
Yeah, so the official stat sheet is 6. But
Oh,
I think I counted along with you. So I don't know. I lost. Maybe I'm just excited, but I counted along with you with 7 as well.
Okay.
But yeah, they got 6 on the stat sheet. My guy Montez now has 3 on the season. He had another sack and a half today, and huge. The last drive of the game where they basically held Denver to a field goal on that penultimate drive, and obviously you saw with the Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, so that ended up being pretty huge. So. The big plays. Of course, Duran was there. Chase Young got in on the action. Chase.
What about Chase Young? Let's talk about Chase because that was a big thing. There's a lot of consternation about him. A lot of fans upset with him. He missed the first game. He came back today. Was on a pitch count. Didn't start the game. I don't know if he played the first quarter, but he played the rest of the game. What did you think about him? He got his first sack. He was impactful. I mean, he was harassing Russell Wilson as soon as he got into the game.
Yeah, he looked like Chase Young of old. He was very aggressive in the rush game. He made plays against the run. He did a really good job setting the edge. He's the one that got the half sack along with Montez in addition to the one that he got on his own when he chased down Russell. He did make a couple of boneheaded penalties at the end of the drive, which we've seen from him in the past. So that's something to monitor, where he jumped off sides and he pushed. Russell Wilson got the roughing the passer call on that last drive. Didn't end up killing us because, again, we were able to get the stops at the end and hold them to a field goal. But he did look like the Chase Young of old. I hope he can stay healthy this year so that we can really see what he can do healthy in this defense, because I think he's going to be legit, and I hope he's legit for this team. But he's got to stay on the field and show it. And here's hoping that he does, because him and Montez Sweat, if they can find a way to pay both of those guys and just keep this D line together, I mean, you see with all 4 of them in there how good this defensive line is. So it's really sky's the limit. So very excited for Chase's return, and hopefully he can clean up some of those just like careless penalties.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. We got K80 tick. Their fans are complaining about we're not complaining about the win.
Fans are going to complain. They're going to complain, man. People complain about everything.
This is a good football team. And you want to know how we know it's a good football? Everyone picked Denver to play and beat us today, right? Nobody picked us to win. They all said, oh, well, Russ is back, right? Russ is going to cook. Sean Payton has a quarterback, all these other things, and we couldn't do it. So this is a good win, a tough place to play, right? We heard all week long how tough it is to play there, atmosphere, all this things, elevation. But it didn't matter. We looked really strong in that second half, and towards the end of the game, we looked really good. Let's talk about the quarterback, right? We've got to talk about this because if he didn't play and make some of these throws, we wouldn't be in the position that we were in, which is to win this game. He started off a little shaky. Actually, no, I think he actually started off
well.
Yeah, I'll take that back. He started off well. Again, there's a couple of mistakes in there, but he played great. He didn't let the sacks phase him. He took some more sacks today. Not all of them his fault, but I think for the type of player that he is, he's probably just going to do that, right? He's going to take some sacks. You're going to have to get used to it. He's going to have to figure out a way to get the ball out quicker. But he made throw after throw, and he stood in there, and he ran when he needed to. And that throw to Bates on the sideline, I think it was Bates on the sideline.
Yeah, great throw.
That was a great throw. And then the throw to Terry was just awesome. I don't know about you, but what'd you think of his performance today?
Yeah, it's really encouraging because one of the 4 members of our text chat was very down on him around the second quarter, and he was not playing well. The pressure was getting to him, and you could see he was rattled. But what's encouraging about the play is that a lot of quarterbacks, when they get rattled, they stay rattled. You saw it with Russell today, right?
All right.
Sam didn't do it. He was able to calm down, credit Eric Bieniemy or Tavita Pritchard or whoever is in his ear to just get him settled. And he threw the ball really well for the most part. He does tend to get balls batted at the line of scrimmage. As a shorter quarterback, he's probably going to happen. He got away with one that really could have been intercepted in the first half on a third down throw as well. But again, those plays are going to happen. I think they threw the ball too much today. I'm going to just keep saying that. I really think I don't think he needs to throw the ball. How many times did he throw the ball? Like 40, 39 times. That's a lot, and 30 of them were in the first half.
Yeah.
So it was way too pass happy in the first half. And I think, getting the run game established earlier can only help him. And you see what the run game does for Robinson is as the game progresses, those runs get longer and longer and he looks better and better.
Yep.
So get your running game into a rhythm and then you don't have to worry about all that. So I'm hoping moving forward they could do that. But overall, yeah, I was impressed with Sam Howell. One thing I do like about the way, I don't want to completely criticize Bieniemy, because one thing I do in both weeks that we've seen this now is that while he does throw the ball a lot, he runs the ball to ice the game, and he doesn't put the ball in Howell's hands at the end of the game, which may help a young quarterback as well. I'm not a huge fan of the conservative play calling, like the 3 runs that went for like 2 yards, and they had to punt and give Denver the ball back, and they were able to complete that Hail Mary. Would have liked to have seen a screen pass or something to just kind of get the ball, just to try to get a first down.
Yeah.
But to be continued. Again, I'm not going to complain too much about a win. And it was an exciting win, and it was a win in which this offense scored 4 touchdowns, which just doesn't happen. We pulled a Bundy, right? So it's good on it. Yeah, I'm not going to complain too much. I know I have my gripes and my concerns, but the team's winning, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I think one of the big takeaways for me from Hal, it's and I've said this on the pod before. I watched a lot of Sam Howell in college. That's why I think he can succeed, because I watched a lot of his tape. And it's not really because I think he's a nice guy or anything like that. I've seen him, face odds like this, right, where they're down and he has to bring the team back. So from that standpoint, to me, it's good to see the confirmation of what I saw of him at UNC. The ability, the arm talent, the poise to say, you know what, we are down 21-3. I have to keep my composure. I have to go back out there and make this throw. And I have to keep doing that till the game's over or until we win. And that's something that I really appreciated. He's got to get the ball out of his hands quicker, though, right? Like, that's just got to happen. He's got to find a way to do it. And I know when you have some athletic ability and you think you can hold the ball and run around a little bit and make a play, and you got a big arm, you think you can, hold the ball forever. He's got to get it out faster. But some of those throws that he made, they're NFL throws, right? They're starting caliber throws. Like, you just can't deny that. And he was really, really good when he needed to be. And again, the moment never seems too kind of big for him. The one thing I will say about Eric Bieniemy and kind of the passing, or most of the passing, he does make the adjustment, whether it's at halftime or in game, right? We saw it against Arizona. They started out all pass, and then he switched it second half. It was just like, we're going to grind this out. Same thing, almost a similar thing here. We had some better success running the football in the second half of this game. So he does have a great feel for the game of knowing when to, okay, I've got to switch tactics here. Things aren't working. Let's try something else. And every time he called a screen, it was the right time. It went for big chunks. We had seen, in the scrimmages, the screens kind of didn't work. Well, they worked today, and they they worked really well, and they helped out a young quarterback, and they helped out to kind of calm down that pass rush. So I liked what Bieniemy did, and I hope no one else is out there saying he can't call plays, because he can. That was an awesome game. Awesome game from him about there. What did you think about Rivera's decision to go for that 59-yard field goal after we saw a bad snap earlier? Instead of just punting it and pinning them down in their own territory, we gave them that momentum.
Yeah. First and foremost, they have got to bring in competition for long snapper, because there were 2 really bad snaps in this game that I don't know that the 59-yarder would have been good, because that snap wasn't as bad as the first one. The first field goal snap was atrocious. It was completely on Cheeseman.
Yep.
and he's been struggling apparently all off season for whatever reason. He changed technique. Somebody told him to. I don't know what's happening, but it's not working. And either he needs to fix it soon or now, or they have to bring in somebody else because that's just not acceptable. You can't do that. As far as the decision to kick the 59, I thought it was, well, I kind of understand it because you're in Denver and you can kick farther in Denver. The air's thinner, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of long field goals that have been made in that stadium. But with the inconsistency you have in the kick game, and honestly, with Sly isn't in my mind the most reliable kicker out there. I think he's fully capable of making a 59-yard field goal. I also think they rushed it, like they really got out there and kicked it quickly. I don't know if there was, I don't know what the deal was with the play clock was winding down. It didn't seem like they took a lot of time in there to get that going. So that, yeah, there's a lot to dislike about that play. I understand kind of the logic because you've got a kicker with a huge leg and you're in a stadium that's very conducive to long field goals. But yeah, with the struggles that Cheeseman's been having, it's very unreliable. I definitely would have punted there. But that's just me. But give Rivera credit. He made some gutsy decisions today. I think, the huge one that may get overlooked is the 2-point conversion in the first half. Because that's the game right there. Otherwise, they tied at the end. So huge play and a huge run by Robinson and a huge overturn by the official. Like everything about that, the game hinged on that 2-point conversion, and it was close. I didn't think he was in.
Yeah.
I didn't think, and then when they didn't rule him in, I didn't think it would get overturned, and somehow it did. That was a massive swing in the game, and it turned out to be like the ultimate deciding factor in the game. So that was huge. And credit Rivera for going for two. I don't know what the play sheet says. I would have kicked the extra point there and just gone down, gone to 10. But man, he knew something I didn't. Good on him. They got the play done. The refs got it right. So yeah, great job on that. So yeah, there were some gutsy decisions. I thought his clock management was really good today. He did a really good job with his timeouts, especially toward the end of the game. And just really, really nice job of clock management, which hasn't always been Rivera's strong suit. So I like that a lot too.
I think some of the clock management goes to Bieniemy as well, with being the assistant head coach and then also, being the play caller. I think he's got a lot of input on to when to go timeout, when not to go, when to go hurry up, and things like that. I definitely liked going for two there. I wasn't thinking about it personally myself to go for two, but good for Ron for doing it. And you're right. If we don't get that, you're right. The complexion of that game changes, and it was by the narrowest of margins that was overturned. And I'll take it because that's how these games go. Sometimes we've been on the other side of it way too many times. Yeah. So I'm glad we got that. Now, what do you think about this? Because this is. I think this is pretty significant. Washington's 18-point comeback was the largest road comeback since the team came back from a 21-point deficit at Detroit on November 4th, 1990. It's 2023 now. Yeah. So this is the second largest road comeback since 1990. Like, is that just a thing for you, or is that significant, or is that like nothing?
A road, yeah, it's very difficult to play on the road. It's very difficult to make a comeback on the road, and it's extremely difficult to make an 18-point comeback on the road.
Yes.
So wonderful all around. Fun fact: that Rutledge game, or that game against Detroit, the quarterback Jeff Rutledge was the third string quarterback. Mark Rippon had been injured. Stan Humphries got knocked out of the Detroit game. Rutledge came in and led that comeback. And it was the week before the body bag game where Stan Humphries came back and then got hurt again. Rutledge got hurt. Yeah. So yeah, that 90, I love the 1990 season is one of my favorite ones. There's a lot of reasons I love that 1990 season, but that's one of them. Yeah. So we didn't have to rely on a third string quarterback to bring us back, which is good because we don't have a third string quarterback. So yeah, that was pretty rad.
Deep cut skins 1990s knowledge. I love it.
Go back and do some reading on that season. That was a crazy season. It was wild. It was a great season. It was really the season that set the stage for that 91 Super Bowl. So
nice.
Definitely, there's a lot of good stuff that came out of that year.
We'll have to do a off-season pod on those guys then.
Yeah, that'll get tens of views.
Right. Skin them alive. The biggest thing I take from both games is the ability to stay in a game and then actually win it from behind. Yes, you're absolutely right. That's been something that's been lacking here in the Ron Rivera era, and even before then, right? Probably the last 20 plus years is when we get down, we're basically out. right? We're outmatched. We don't have the weapons. The offense isn't good enough. The coaching isn't good enough. The players aren't good enough. That seems to be a little bit different this year. We seem to be able to come back from deficits. We have an offense that is still growing. It's still learning, right? There's going to be mistakes. We had a fumble today on some pressure where, Sam just he was trying to get rid of the ball and just got the ball tipped away. But when there's protection, when we can block it up, Sam gets the ball out, we can make plays. We have playmakers. We've got tight ends. We've got receivers. We've got running backs. And we've got an offensive coordinator that will allow us to win football games. So absolutely right. Good point. Anything else about this game stand out to you before we wrap up and get out of here?
Oh man, so much. The
Yeah.
first Brian Robinson touchdown, one thing I truly love was Chris Rodriguez was the lead blocker on that play.
Yes.
He made a money lead block. He did a really, really nice job. The offensive guard they pulled a guard to clear it out. Right behind him was Rodriguez, who cleaned up a linebacker, and that's what allowed B-Rob to get through. B-Rob breaking off long runs, love it. The big 27-yard run that he had, and then the long touchdown run that he was able to get. We want to see more of that. Again, that's another reason to just keep feeding him. He's going to be a big part of this offense this year. Antonio Gibson in the screen game, fantastic. I thought he was gone on that one. Great job by the defender to just get that shoestring on him. But yeah, Gibson in the screen game was great.
Yep.
The entire screen game, of course, was great. And again, a Terry McLaurin sighting is always good to have. And that was a brilliant throw and a wonderful catch by Terry McLaurin in triple coverage. Such a good job. So just hats off to the offense. 35 points in one game is pretty amazing for this team based on what we've seen over the last couple of years. So I'd love to see some more of that. And on to Buffalo next week.
Absolutely. How about Terry McLaurin? The touchdown catch was awesome, but he was matched up on Surtain, and he was on the left side of the field, and he ran a route that it fooled Surtain, and Surtain, all he could do was grab him and hold him, and we got the PI because I think we were like 2nd and 15 or 2nd and 17. Like we had already committed our own penalty, and that was huge. That set us up, and then from there we were able to kind of move the football and keep moving it. But that's just a veteran receiver. How smart Terry is, just how good he is. That Surtain. Yeah, I mean, Surtain panicked, and he had to grab him. Otherwise, he knew he was going to run right by him. And I thought that was just a huge, huge play. Smart move by Terry. And usually that's something that works against us. That happens to us, and it went our way. So that was pretty cool to see. But great team win. Everybody, there were some mistakes made, but they didn't let it stop them. They continued to fight, and they got the win. We're 2-0, and we will be back Tuesday night with the deep dive. And who do we got next?
Buffalo Bills. Josh
Buffalo.
Allen and crew. I think they're coming to town.
They are coming. Yep.
So far in the future, I don't know what's happening, but it's Buffalo next week.
Yeah. So if you go to Home Depot and you go by where the folding chairs and tables are, they're probably going to be all sold out next week.
There will be nary a folding table available in Raljon.
That's yes, in Raljon, Maryland. No folding tables allowed. But we'll be back Tuesday night to talk about the Buffalo Bills and do a little bit of recapping on this awesome victory. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you in a few days.
See you Tuesday.
2-0. 2-0.